The year is 2010. Life extension technology research has made an incredible breakthrough. Humanity has plunged headlong into training the body to prolong youth. It was then that the holographic VR game Sphere of God was released. Thanks to the technology of reading absolutely all the player's movements, the Sphere of God has become the most popular game on the planet. There are a lot of companies trying to make money by creating guilds inside the game. And suddenly, this idea turned into an unprecedented success. The year is 2139. Inside the Shadow Guild, its members were training hard. The head of the Shadow Guild, Shi Feng, stared dumbfounded at the game window in front of him. It reported that his account had been deleted. Documents on termination of the contract were thrown on the table. The top of Manhua's company required him to sign it. Shi Feng sacrificed everything to make the shadows reach the top. He told them that it was thanks to him that Manhua company became a financial giant. But as soon as he merged the shadows with other guilds, they fired him. Shi Feng clenched his teeth in anger and injustice. He was simply thrown to the mercy of fate. He spent 10 years playing games. For 10 years he fought bloody battles. He has endured countless trials and sufferings. Under his leadership, Shadow successfully founded 10 city-states in the God realm. They were finally able to compete with first-class guilds. However, before he could enjoy this endless glory, one document turned everything into fleeting smoke. Once it dissipated, it would never come back. Shi Feng never thought that his 10 years of effort would be wasted. He sacrificed a lot just for the sake of the game. And in the end, all he did was pave the way for others to the very end. It all culminated because he opposed Shadow's decision to join another guild. Less than a day later, Manhua Financial Group gave him an answer. They deleted his account, which the guy spent 10 years of blood and sweat on. They looked at him with a grin. Shi Feng was told that his personal estate in 5 million credits would last him a lifetime. According to them, Shi Feng should thank them for such generosity. All he got was 5 million credits in one mansion. Compared to the 10 city-states inside the virtual kingdom generating money, it couldn't even be considered a drop in the ocean. Sitting in his estate, he washed down his grief. Shi Feng thought about how much he had done for the Shadow. He thought about how his efforts had turned Manhua's company into a big financial company. Then the young man thought about how they threw him out anyway, as if the guy was no different from garbage. Shi Feng swore that he would avenge their actions. Shi Feng's eyes flashed with confidence and determination. His hands tore the contract into small pieces. Grabbing the bottle from the table, he took a few sips. Even if he no longer has a powerful account, even if he no longer has the support of his team, the skills and knowledge gained in the game will not betray him. As long as his skills remained with him, he could ascend into the God realm once more. He would be able to create his own virtual realm. With such thoughts, he fell asleep. The phone signal was ringing continuously. Shi Feng woke up with a grudge. He reached helplessly for the phone by the bed. The consequences of yesterday hung over him. The caller was Blackie. Shi Feng couldn't understand why Blackie was calling him. Blackie was talking animatedly about the casting of the Shadow Guild today. He urged Shi Feng to go to school faster. Shi Feng was slightly embarrassed. Manhua's financial group had just fired him, so why would he attend Shadow's casting? Shi Feng immediately went to the mirror. Only after looking into the mirror, at the reflection displayed on it, peering again and again, Shi Feng confirmed that he really had become young again. Yesterday he slept in his luxurious and spacious bedroom, but now, after waking up, the guy found himself in this broken room. Moreover, he is young again. Blackie continued to call him anxiously, but Shi Feng was not up to it. Shi Feng looked at the time on his phone. April 19, 2129. He remembered that today was August 5, 2139. It can't be April 2129, when he was still studying at the university. Shi Feng realized that he had gone back 10 years. Shadows, Manhua, they will all get what they deserve. He didn't expect the Lord to give him a second chance. As soon as Shi Feng arrived at the first academic building, he saw a thin and tall figure in front of the building. A young man with a short haircut was running towards Shi Feng. It was Blackie. Blackie saw his friend's strange mood. Blackie asked why Shi Feng was so sad. Shi Feng said seriously that he had another idea, so he did not want to join other people's guilds. He invited Blackie to create his own guild. Blackie was someone Shi Feng had met in another virtual reality game, and the former had pretty good skills. The two of them faced many difficulties, and at the moment they were no different from real brothers. During their time working together in the shadows, Blackie showed great talent in administration, although he lacked talent for games. He managed hundreds of thousands of guild members in a clear and orderly manner. If Shi Feng had received Blackie's help now, his plans would have progressed a step further. Nevertheless, he will respect Blackie's decision. It was because Shi Feng didn't have anything right now, and Blackie's family's circumstances didn't look very rosy either. Blackie decided to become a professional gamer and join the Shadow to earn some credits for living. From Shi Feng's words, Blackie was speechless, silently lowering his head. It was too sudden. Moreover, the Shi Feng he saw today seemed different. Unlike his usual impatient attitude, Shi Feng now gave off an aura of steadfastness and confidence. Blackie tried to dissuade Shi Feng. Equipment, rent and wages for workers. All this will come out very expensive. They don't have that kind of money. Shi Feng confidently said that if they signed a contract with the guild, they would become ordinary slaves. Shi Feng no longer wanted and would not obey anyone. Ever since he was reborn, he had an absolute advantage within the god realm that others did not have. Naturally, he will not join the shadow to become a tool that benefits others. He wanted to go a different way, a way where he would fight not for others, but for himself. Shi Feng wanted to save his parents from having to send him money for living expenses. He wanted to pay back all the debts that his parents had accumulated. To do this, the guy wanted to take a chance and open his own guild to start his own company and build his own virtual kingdom. Everything to live a better life. Seeing Shi Feng completely confident, Blackie agreed with a sigh. He was not against the creation of a guild. But even so, they don't have enough savings for this. Shi Feng's furrowed brows instantly relaxed, and he happily patted Blackie on the shoulder. He told Blackie not to worry about it. God's Sphere gives students a free trial period for as long as 10 days. Blackie's face turned ashen, suddenly feeling that his future had turned pitch black. Why should he believe Shi Feng? Could it be Shi Feng's confidence and calmness? Won't this business venture with Shi Feng go sideways? What can be done in 10 days in the realm of God? During these 10 days, they will definitely miss the game guild recruitment period. In the end, they will still have to buy a gaming helmet. But where do they get the money from? Even a group of professional gamers won't be able to earn 16,000 credits within 10 days after the opening of the God Realm. Shi Feng confidently patted Blackie on the shoulder. The question of money Blackie could leave to him. Earning 16,000 credits in 10 days was pure fantasy. Nevertheless, he was the spirit of a reincarnated person. Whatever the challenges, he will overcome them all. And the discovery of the sphere of God will be the starting point of his ascent. After that, Shi Feng took Blackie to pick up the virtual gaming helmets. Then he spent all his money to buy packs of noodles and water. It was enough to last for more than 10 days. Shi Feng calmly waited for the opening of the God Realm. April 25th, 9 p.m. A few flashes of light flickered in the silent room. Shi Feng entered the game. To accommodate more players, the God Realm could be played while sleeping. In addition, the time in the game was different from the usual, where 2 hours in the game were equal to 1 hour in reality. Each day in the game consisted of 48 hours, consisting of 30 hours of the day and 18 hours of the night. Moreover, in order for the majority of working-class people to enjoy the game, the night time in reality in the game was the day. As soon as Shi Feng arrived at the God Realm, he passed through the golden steps, reaching the solemn golden temple. He even managed to forget what the registration page used to be. A female angel with 4 pairs of wings flew towards Shi Feng. It was the size of a head. It was Gabriel's angel guide. She greeted the next adventurer. With a wave of Gabriel's small hand, an image representing the 12 main classes appeared in front of Shi Feng. These 12 classes were divided into 4 main categories: warrior, heavy warrior, knight, berserker, weapon master, swordsman, assassin, shooter, healer, cleric, druid, oracle, magician, elementalist, summoner, caster. Warriors specialized in defending against monsters. Weapon masters focused on physical damage. Healers focused on healing. Mages specialized in magical damage. Each category had its own fighting style, which was one of the main advantages of the God Realm. In his previous life, Shi Feng had chosen a swordsman class from a group of weapon masters, and he was even known as a magic swordsman. Shi Feng had already invested too much in the swordsman class, so naturally he wouldn't choose another class. The guy did not hesitate to choose what was most familiar to him. Since the class was selected, Gabrielle asked him to choose a nickname. Yi Feng. Shi Feng chose the same name as in his previous life. The nickname was saved. He was asked if he wanted to change the appearance of his avatar. After thinking about it for a while, Shi Feng decided to adjust his character's appearance by 15% so as not to stand out. At the same time, no one would be able to recognize Shi Feng if they saw his character. Although he was not as beautiful as the original, it was not enough for everyone to recognize him. Gabrielle asked Shi Feng to choose the point of appearance in the Kingdom of the Star Moon. A map with dozens of cities belonging to the Star Moon Kingdom appeared in front of Shi Feng. The opening of the God Sphere had a global synchronization. To accommodate hundreds of millions of players, the lands of the God Realm were incredibly vast, 2 or even 3 times the size of Earth, and the inner kingdoms were even more numerous. However, in reality, the player's living area and real city determined the kingdom they would start from. Therefore, players could only choose cities within this kingdom. Shi Feng didn't plan on choosing other cities, so he chose the White River City that he was most familiar with. White River City was the 5th largest city of the Star Moon Kingdom. It was an important city in the north of the kingdom, which was chosen for the development of numerous gaming guilds to avoid fighting between large guilds. Here Shi Feng can safely level up without worrying about the big guilds. Gabrielle announced that it would be rescheduled in 3 seconds. She wished good luck to the new player. The space in front of Shi Feng immediately blurred when he was sent away. In the city of the White River, randomly located buildings had a similar style to the Middle Ages. NPCs filled the bustling streets, making you feel like you were in another world. Shi Feng appeared at the front of the church, his new appearance resembling a penniless swordsman. He was currently wearing the gray leather armor of a novice, and a novice sword hung on his belt. Shi Feng smiled faintly, looking at the familiar view of the city. Confidence was growing in him. At this point, many players began to wander around the city, talking to NPCs in the hope of getting a trail for the quest. There are also quite a few players who came out of the village, going to the wastelands to kill monsters. Each of them performed their tasks as if their lives depended on it, and they could not resist the desire to divide their time in half. Shi Feng didn't pay attention to the other players. With a light wave and a touch of a finger in front of him on an empty space, a player attribute panel appeared in front of his eyes. He now had 4 performance improvement points available to him. Each swordsman started with the same stats. The only difference was the distribution of free stats points. Each player can get 4 free stats points with each level increase. With each level increase, the different ways in which players distributed these points will lead them to their own unique style. Strength increases the physical attack power and the weight of each attack. Agility increases the speed of attack and movement. Stamina increases maximum health and stamina. Intelligence increases magical attack power and mana reserve. Vitality was responsible for restoring mana and health. Each class focuses on different attributes. Since swordsmen belong to the classes that dealt physical damage, most people preferred strength. In his previous life, Shi Feng also made such a choice, adding 2 points to strength, 1 point to stamina, and 1 point to agility at each level. It was the most common and banal decision. However, Shi Feng did not plan to do the same in this life. Without hesitation, Shi Feng pressed the plus sign opposite dexterity, distributing all 4 points into it. Shi Feng's agility increased to 7 points, his attack speed increased to 4, and his movement speed also rose to 4. This method of distributing points was not suitable even for assassins widely known for their high dexterity. At first, they give priority to strength, since more damage means easier pumping. Unfortunately, Shi Feng didn't think so. For melee classes, agility was the best choice in the early stages of the God Realm. This was kept secret, and was only discovered a few weeks after the discovery of the God Realm. When it finally became known, the hearts of countless melee players couldn't help but break with regret. Shi Feng's video call rang. The caller's name was highlighted as Black Cloud. It was Blackie. He enthusiastically said that he had become a spellcaster. Now Blackie was in the city of the Fallen Moon. He asked about Shi Feng's whereabouts. Shi Feng said that he was at the White River. These cities were not far from each other. He told Blackie to come here. Blackie grumbled. It wasn't close. It's a 7-hour journey. He will lag far behind other players if he goes to the city of the White River. Blackie almost coughed up blood from anger. To earn 16,000 credits in 10 days was already madness. Instead of desperately swinging after entering the God Realm, he was asked to spend 7 hours. He wasn't going to do it even if he was beaten to death. Shi Feng reminded Blackie of their goal. Does he really think that he can save up for the creation of a guild if he raises the level the same way as the others? He also hinted about unique quests. Blackie's eyes lit up with delight. Unique quests are legendary tasks that occur only once on the server. Blackie had heard that insanely rare rewards were given for them. While talking to Blackie, Shi Feng walked towards a small dark alley. There were hundreds of NPCs in White River City. However, the NPCs who gave quests numbered only dozens, while hidden quests provided only 5, and unique quests only 1. After the player completes the unique quest, it will no longer be available. The unique quest in White River City was discovered only 2 months after the discovery of the God Realm, and the last time it caused a sensation in the entire White River City. Since the quest was unique, the lucky player revealed the method of obtaining it, which earned the envy of many players. Unfortunately for them, the quest was no longer available even if they wanted to do it. Of course, Shi Feng wouldn't let this unique quest slip away from him in this lifetime. Shi Feng arrived at a dark alley full of beggars in tattered clothes. The beggars were like wolves smelling fresh meat when they saw Shi Feng walking, quickly surrounding him and begging for food. Shi Feng pulled out his novice sword, forcing the powerless beggars to quickly hide. Blackie was still complaining, saying he would turn gray by the time he got to this town. Suddenly he remembered something. Since Shi Feng found out about the unique quest, does he really have connections with the beta tester? Blackie excitedly asked Shi Feng about it. Shi Feng replied in a mysterious tone that it didn't matter. He told Blackie that he would help him as soon as he finished his quest. Shi Feng went to the corner after the beggars had dispersed. There was a middle-aged tramp lying there. There was not much difference between this man and the other beggars, but if you still decided to look for differences, it would be the spirit of a great man, since he was the only one who did not ask for food. Shi Feng asked him if he needed help. The man asked if he could have some food. He had been starving for 5 days. Shi Feng replied that unfortunately he could not fulfill this request. He asked if he needed anything else. He's capable of a lot. For the right price, of course. Unique quests are activated only when a special phrase is uttered. The beggar replied that he wanted Cross, the mayor of the White River, dead. A system notification popped up. He was offered a unique task by Sherlock. Shi Feng was asked to make a choice. Does he want to take the back ones or not? The task was limited to 1 hour. Shi Feng agreed without hesitation. After receiving the assignment, Shi Feng turned around and headed towards the town hall, the place where the mayor was. There were a lot of players lined up inside the town hall. They all wanted to get a task from the mayor. The mayor was a rather large middle-aged man. He had the 15th level and 24 health points and 15 mana points. There wasn't a single player who could beat him at this stage. It was impossible, even with a team. Shi Feng then took out a ripe red tomato and took a bite out of it. Halfway through eating a tomato, Shi Feng suddenly threw it in the face of the mayor of the city. The tomato landed accurately on Cross's face, spraying bright red liquid. This infuriated Mayor Cross. His attitude towards Shi Feng immediately dropped to hostile. He roared with rage and attacked Shi Feng. 15 minutes earlier, Shi Feng walked along the path to the town hall, crowded with people. A fairly spacious road was filled with players. They were talking to NPCs trying to get a quest. Such a scene created the feeling of being in the market. When Shi Feng arrived at the facade of the 2-story town hall, he was greeted by hundreds of people lined up in a long queue. No matter what game he was playing, the village head or the mayor of the city was undoubtedly the main target for getting quests. Naturally, no player will miss this chance. Shi Feng inwardly asked for their forgiveness. His trick will deprive them all of the quest. A simple and honest male warrior looked at Shi Feng from the queue. The warrior raised his hand, pointing to the end of the line of people. He advised him to go to the end of the queue, otherwise others might misunderstand him. Shi Feng smiled and thanked him for the advice, but he wasn't here for quests. He told the man not to waste time here. It is better to raise the level somewhere else. He didn't believe Shi Feng. He told him not to cheat. Shi Feng kindly explained that the best way to become stronger is to hunt. While he was standing in line here, he could have earned a lot of experience points. The warrior shook his head. He wasn't an idiot. At this moment, there were definitely tides of people in the wildlands area. With his skills, he probably won't even be able to grab the monster, so he'd better just wait here. It's better here than fighting for every boar. Shi Feng came closer and whispered that it was better to hunt in deserted places with a slow revival of monsters. There is little loot, but everything is yours. No one will interfere there, so you will raise the level before the others. The male warrior was excited after listening to Shi Feng. He was extremely interested in such a location. The player still had to wait more than an hour to take the quest, and the rewards he would be able to get would only be experience and a meager amount of money. If he could grind monsters unhindered for an hour, the experience he could gain would far surpass the quest reward. If Shi Feng tells about this place, then he will not remain in debt. Shi Feng stretched out his hand and asked for 20 coins for this information. The warrior looked at Shi Feng with doubt in his eyes. If there was such a treasured location, he could definitely far surpass other players, but 20 coins is an impressive amount. Monsters in the God realm rarely drop money or equipment, so the coins were incredibly precious. Beginners were given only 10 coins from the start. Shi Feng decided so. The warrior will give him 10 coins, and he, in turn, will throw off the location. If Shi Feng turns out to be right, then the warrior will have to throw off another 10. Shi Feng only offered it to the warrior because he liked the warrior. The warrior agreed. He decided to believe Shi Feng. He was too convincing. The warrior transferred him 10 copper coins. Shi Feng now had the means to buy a weapon against the mayor. Now that Shi Feng had the money, he went to the vegetable shop near the town hall. He asked how much a tomato costs from a saleswoman. Both fruits and vegetables can help in restoring the player's health points and mana points. Their taste was also very good. The only downside was the poor recovery speed. Under normal conditions, players did not buy them at all, especially at a time when money was a big problem. Spending coins on fruits and vegetables was just a waste. The saleswoman replied that 1 tomato costs 1 copper. The guy decided to buy 10 tomatoes at once. Shi Feng paid 10 coppers. He entered the town hall after receiving 10 tomatoes. The other players laughed while looking at Shi Feng. They couldn't believe that someone was buying tomatoes with all their money. Only a complete fool could have done it. They decided that Shi Feng was in the game for the first time. Shi Feng suddenly threw a tomato at the mayor's face. The tomato landed accurately on Cross's face, spraying bright red liquid. At the same time, Shi Feng loudly insulted Cross, calling him a fat and bald pig. According to him, Cross did not deserve to be mayor. The system reported that Cross's favorability to him decreased by 100 units. Unsatisfied, Shi Feng took out another tomato from his bag, throwing it at Cross. Shi Feng continued to swear while throwing tomatoes, while Cross's favorability continued to decrease. Cross's body turned bright red as tomato juice dripped down it. In addition to his furious expression, it created an incomparably funny sight. However, no one in the town hall was laughing. It was exceptionally quiet. All the players stood with their mouths agape, dumbfounded by Shi Feng's actions. Just 20 minutes after the opening of the God Realm, a player appeared who dared to attack an NPC. And not just any NPC, he attacked the mayor of the city, the head of the novice area. This man was crazy. Wasn't he afraid of being in jail until he died? Does he really not want to stay in White River City anymore? Even public revenge should not be carried out in this way. Just when the other players were expecting the guards to detain Shi Feng or have him killed by the enraged mayor of the city, none of this actually happened. When Shi Feng's last tomato landed on Cross's face, his favorability decreased to hostility. The level of the cross was now displayed as a question mark, and the yellow marker above it quickly turned red. The bright red cross roared loudly as it charged at Shi Feng. Mayor Cross's furious roar echoed throughout the town hall. With a high speed, Cross instantly appeared in front of Shi Feng, his fist extended towards the offender. The other players were currently enjoying Shi Feng's misfortune, taking the chance to appreciate the strength of the city mayor Cross. Cross was a level 15 elite, and one slap from him was enough to beat the current players to death. However, Shi Feng was so stupid that he actually angered the mayor. Not a single person in the entire White River City could save him now. He will be put in jail until the guy is on his deathbed, or he will be expelled from the city of the White River. However, Shi Feng's surprisingly calm attitude puzzled the other players. Was he ready to die already? When Cross was about to strike, the motionless Shi Feng finally moved. Like a hunter waiting for his prey, Shi Feng immediately drew his novice sword. With quick movements, he used the sword to protect his body. Cross's fist landed on the novice's sword, sending Shi Feng flying. Just as Shi Feng was about to fall, he flipped over and landed on the ground with the flexibility of a cat. However, his health points instantly decreased by 84 units, and the novice sword in his hands trembled uncontrollably. Even the strength of the sword decreased by 1 point. The weapon will become useless as soon as its durability drops to 0. All the players held their breath. Seeing Shi Feng's concern, they initially thought of him as a mere novice. However, after Shi Feng's recent performance, anyone with a discerning eye could tell that he was a very skilled person. Even if Cross, as a mage, had low physical damage, as a level 15 elite, he could still kill any of the current players with one blow. Nevertheless, Shi Feng was alive. He used his weapon to block the attack, reducing the damage to a minimum. After the unsuccessful blow, Cross became even more furious. Suddenly, his clothes tore apart, revealing a body covered in pitch black fur. Cross turned into a werewolf with sharp fangs. At this moment, every player was shocked. They would never have thought that the mayor was an evil werewolf. The cross instantly reached Shi Feng's back, raising its bright claws and slicing through the air with them, aimed at Shi Feng's heart. However, Shi Feng didn't run away, even though he only had 16 health points left. Cross's claws suddenly stopped. They were only a few centimeters away from Shi Feng. Unfortunately, Cross was hit by the attacks of the 25th level guards, which sent him into a state of dizziness for 1 second. Both guards were level 25 warriors. Although none of them were elite, the damage they dealt was relatively high. Their attacks quickly took away 300 health points from Cross. The two guards took a total of 600 health points, causing Cross's life points to drop to 1700 in an instant. Shi Feng chuckled, looking at the deplorable state of the cross. The guards were the defenders of the city. They specialized in protecting the civilians of the city and resisting the invasion of evil creatures. At that moment, the mayor turned into a werewolf, which served as proof that he was not a man, but a spy of the forces of evil. The guards naturally wouldn't let him go, killing him as if he was no different from the monsters in the wildlands. At first glance, the terms of Sherlock's request seemed harsh. However, in reality, the players only needed to actively attack the mayor, subsequently surviving his first blow. Then everything went smoothly. The guards will deal with everything else after the mayor reveals his true identity. When the other players saw that Cross was dying, many of them became excited. They wanted to deliver the final blow to the mayor. They didn't understand why the guards attacked Cross instead of Shi Feng. But the mayor of the city, who was still a level 15 elite, if he dies, he will definitely drop some great items. When Cross had only 100 health points left, all the other players started moving. They simultaneously rushed to the city's measure cross. Everyone wanted to strike the last blow, snatching the fallen objects. Unfortunately, in the end, Cross was still killed by a guardsman's spear. None of the players were able to hit the cross. Some of the newcomers complained indignantly. The level 15 elite died before their eyes. But the players didn't get a single advantage, they just couldn't accept it. Although Shi Feng could attack, he was unwilling to take any chances. After the mayor's death, he immediately took the mayor's badge and disappeared into the crowd. NPCs inside the city will not bring any experience or loot if they are killed. If it wasn't for the quest, Shi Feng wouldn't even be able to get the mayor's badge. By this time, Shi Feng had already arrived at the dark alley. Shi Feng handed the mayor's badge to the beggar, Sherlock. He looked at the badge with great joy. The beggar thanked Shi Feng. Sherlock handed Shi Feng an elegant box. Afterwards, Sherlock took the mayor's badge and left the dark alley. The system awarded him 2,000 experience points and 20 weapon proficiency points. He was also given a chest of a luxurious ring. With the characterology sound, Shi Feng had risen to the first level, and he was only 1,000 experience points away from the next promotion. Shi Feng's level became the highest in White River City just 30 minutes after the start of the God Realm. Under normal circumstances, the average player needed 1,000 experience points to rise to the first level. This amount required at least 6 or 7 hours of monster grinding, since each level 0 monster only gave 3 experience points. It also took time to find monsters, recover, and so on. Considering the fact that at the beginning of the game there were a huge number of players who fought for monsters, on average it would take more than 10 hours to climb to the first level. Shi Feng was surprised by such generosity. Did the 0 level give a bonus to the rewards? Although Shi Feng had some doubts, he was still delighted with such a reward. Shi Feng carefully held the jewelry box. Swallowing nervously, he slowly opened the lid. When the luxurious jewelry box slowly opened, a dazzling stream of multicolored light burst out of it. Fortunately, Shi Feng was currently standing in a dark alley. There were no players wandering around here. Otherwise, such a sight would cause greed in the hearts of casual observers, and Shi Feng would be killed and robbed. When the shining luster disappeared, a simple silver ring could be seen inside the luxurious jewelry box. On the outside of the ring, words resembling the ancient language of the elves were carved, and a huge magical power was stored in them. It was a gravity ring. The ring gave +2 to strength, +1 to dexterity, and +1 to stamina. Special skill of the ring, free gravity, significantly reduces the gravitational pressure acting on the user, noticeably lightens the body and accelerates movements. Duration, 30 seconds. Recharge time, 5 minutes. After reading the description, Shi Feng was extremely excited. The situation was much better than he had expected. Wearing the gravity ring, Shi Feng added 4 free attribute units that came from leveling up into agility. Shi Feng's agility increased to 12 units, attack speed to 5 units, and movement speed to 6 units. Now he could rival the sheer agility of an assassin of the same level. Shi Feng looked at his attribute panel in anticipation. After that, Shi Feng added 15 free skill points to his one-handed sword mastery, saving the remaining 5 points for further use now that the one-handed sword mastery has reached 20 points. Shi Feng has advanced from an apprentice to a novice swordsman, and the additional damage inflicted with a one-handed sword has increased to 10%. He was still 30 skill points away from advancing to intermediate swordsman. Ordinary attacks were just the basis for a swordsman. If one wanted to become an expert in swordsmanship, skills were a must. The more, the better, as this will create more flexibility in combat, thereby allowing the swordsman to deal more damage. Shi Feng decided to pass the goblin test and pick up the skill book. Shi Feng was currently in the goblin auction house. Descending the stairs to the basement led to the field for the race. There were a dozen players here. Several players were currently cheering with all their might for the assassin who was standing on the field. Their reddened eyes made the guys look like crazy gamblers. This competition in the form of a race can be considered a testing ground for testing the capabilities of the player. After a player enters the proving ground, all his attributes will be fixed at the level of 10 units, skills are disabled, and equipment will become useless. Within a field 30 meters long and 10 meters wide, players were only allowed to block or dodge incoming shots from goblin muskets. The victory is counted as soon as the player reaches the finish point. At this time, the assassin's body was pierced by bullets. He was immediately resurrected. The killers swore. He was so close to the finish line. The man asked his people if they had money. They shook their heads. They gave away all their money, so there was nothing left. From their mouths, Shi Feng learned the name of this killer. It was a heartbreaker. Next to him, Shi Feng shifted his gaze to the assassin. He was shocked to hear the word heartbreaker. The man's body was covered with black and blue clothes. He was short and thin, like a monkey. Shi Feng could hardly believe that this monkey in front of him was a heartbreaker, an assassin who ranked 10th in the ranking of assassins of the Star Moon Kingdom. The assassin named Heartbreaker shifted his gaze to Shi Feng. After evaluating Shi Feng, his eyes revealed a gaze as if they had just found prey. With a smile, he approached Shi Feng saying that he was the head of the League of Assassins Guild. He asked Shi Feng to lend him 5 coins. Tomorrow he will return 20. This time, the Heartbreaker was only a few steps away from the end point. so he didn't want to admit defeat. The guy had already figured out some of the schemes of the race and was sure that he could pass it if he got another chance. Therefore, he decided to use the name of his guild to shock and awe Shi Feng into lending him 5 coppers. The League of Assassins was a large guild that was well known in the virtual gaming world. Any experienced gamer would know this name. Someone capable of becoming the leader of the assassin team was certainly a great expert, a figure that was respected by many players. Instead of a loan, the average player would definitely just give 5 coppers to get some services. Shi Feng replied that he could give 5 coins. When the heartthrob expected Shi Feng to refuse the refund, he was surprised by Shi Feng's next words. Shi Feng replied that the heartthrob would have to return 50 coins, not 20. The heartthrob was surprised. He was a heartthrob, the famous leader of the Assassins Guild, the League of Assassins. However, Shi Feng's impolite reaction turned out to be completely different from the one he had imagined. Could Shi Feng be a novice? His guild members were unhappy with Shi Feng's tone and demands. They began to express their dissatisfaction. Seeing how the heartthrob remained silent, Shi Feng clarified whether he would borrow money. The heartthrob nodded. Shi Feng said to trust the honesty of a heartthrob. He said to add him as a friend to send 5 coins. He also did not forget to remind the heartthrob to return the 50 copper coins. Not knowing what the heartthrob was thinking, Shi Feng left after the deal was completed. He went to the goblin who was the administrator of the race competition. He grinned. It was nice to make 50 coins out of 5. The people of the heartthrob asked if he was going to return so many coins. They said it was a lot. They can save up and come back tomorrow instead of giving away 50 coins. With tears streaming down his face, the heartthrob replied that he always pays back debts. He was so close to the finish line, so he can't just walk away. They have to do it today. Seeing the pitiful state of their boss, the subordinates also wanted to cry. When the heartthrob was about to try again, he saw Shi Feng, who was also going to participate in the race. The heartbreaker snorted. In his opinion, Shi Feng underestimated the test. It takes less than 30 meters to run, but already halfway through the goblins will change the timings of attacks and start shooting ahead of time. They didn't believe that Shi Feng could handle it. Even the heartbreaker was able to run for only 18 minutes. Above the race field, the timer started counting down. 3, 2, 1, start. As soon as the countdown is over, Shi Feng's body leaned forward and his legs bent at the knees. Like a leopard, he broke from the starting line with explosive force. By the time the muskets rang, firing towards the starting line, Shi Feng was already 3 meters away. Then another volley of musket shots rang out. A total of 6 bullets shot towards Shi Feng. Several green lines marking the trajectory of the projectiles covered Shi Feng's body. Shi Feng would have turned into a sieve if not for his sharp reaction. As soon as the bullets were ready to hit the target, Shi Feng dodged to the right with a sideways step. He rushed forward once more, avoiding a second volley of shots. Shell casings continuously fell to the ground, and the 3 dwarves continued to aim and shoot. However, Shi Feng avoided them every time with the energy of a leopard. The way he kept one step ahead of the bullets gave the impression that he was controlling them. Seeing that it took Shi Feng less than 5 seconds to cover the distance of 10 meters, the man was completely shocked. It was twice as fast as the time of their head of the heartthrob. The heartthrob was speechless. The heartthrob had the pride of an expert. He didn't think Shi Feng could be stronger than him. The player decided to explain that perhaps Shi Feng is a trained athlete, and it is not surprising that he is stronger and faster than ordinary people. The heartthrob and the others quickly focused their gazes on Shi Feng, wanting to see him perform. He silently watched Shi Feng's progress. Initially, he thought of Shi Feng as a beginner, someone he didn't know, and someone who came to the competition for fun. However, the speed and accuracy that Shi Feng had just shown was like that of a veteran who had tempered himself for countless years in a race competition. Every step he took was simple and effective. This is something that a beginner definitely couldn't pull off. Even the heartthrob, after several attempts to pass the test, felt that he could not achieve more, but he soon calmed down. After 15 meters, the goblins changed attacks. After that, Shi Feng will definitely lose. On the field, 3 goblins were enraged as soon as Shi Feng crossed the 15-meter line. They no longer aimed their muskets. Suddenly, the bullet trajectory indicators in Shi Feng's field of vision covered a large area. Only 3 bullets could hit Shi Feng. Nevertheless, the game will end even if only 1 bullet hits the target. Shi Feng smiled indifferently. Drawing his novice sword, Shi Feng greeted the bullets. The guy knew that after the 15-meter line, the goblins would change their attack patterns. The 15-meter distance in the race was crucial for testing the skills of the player. Only those who passed it could be considered to have entry-level work skills. However, most players took 2 or 3 months to reach this level. A minority needed a month. The players grinned. Did Shi Feng really think he could fend off bullets with a sword? They thought it was all nonsense. At that moment, Shi Feng's head tilted. He swung the novice's sword, creating a white streak of light. A spark appeared. Shi Feng swung the novice's sword at exactly the right place, easily hitting the bullet aimed at his chest. The threat of 3 bullets was easily eliminated by Shi Feng. He advanced another segment again. Nevertheless, the 3 goblins did not stop shooting. The muskets in their hands were like machine guns firing a volley. In the blink of an eye, Shi Feng faced 5 more bullets. There were also projectiles flying around, which prevented him from dodging. Shi Feng moved quickly, swinging his sword to deflect the inevitable shots. When the bullets passed by his body, his ears could even hear the air being cut. The players gaped in shock. Only 3 seconds had passed, and Shi Feng had already passed through the 20-meter mark. He was only 10 meters from the finish line. The heartthrob, with a blow to the head, silenced the 2 loud subordinate. He was deeply impressed by Shi Feng's actions. The game has just come out, and already there are players who are able to predict the trajectory of bullets and beat them off. Shi Feng's control deserved respect. One of the goblins at the finish line laughed. The dwarf took out an automatic musket, sending a wave of bullets towards Shi Feng. Suddenly, the number of bullets increased to 24. Moreover, their distance from Shi Feng was only 5 meters. It was an unavoidable distance for the players. The other players were very nervous when they saw this scene, and they couldn't help but curse the shamelessness of the goblins. Faced with a hail of bullets, Shi Feng quickly became serious. Although he knew about the second shift at the 25-meter mark, even he would have panicked in the face of such a bombardment. Shi Feng bent his knees and jumped forward like a leopard. He rushed headlong to the place with the least number of bullets, reducing the surface area of his body that could come into contact with the shells. After which, the guy crazily swung the novice's sword, simultaneously creating 4 streaks of white light. After a series of sparks, Shi Feng's body passed through the heavy fire. At the moment when he was about to touch the ground, the young man vigorously leaned on the ground with his hand. Using force, Shi Feng quickly stood up, rushing past the finish line like lightning. The goblins announced the time of passage. Shi Feng passed the test in 14 seconds. He passed the bronze medal test. Shi Feng was finally able to breathe a sigh of relief. The other players shouted happily, as if they had won themselves. The system reported that for passing the bronze medal test, he would receive 1 silver coin and a flash of thunder, a swordsman skill. A flash of thunder. 3 quick swings of the sword hit all the targets ahead. The first hit deals 130% damage, and each subsequent hit deals 20% more damage. Recharge, 30 seconds. Shi Feng thought he was hallucinating. However, he was shocked when he saw the skill book in his bag. Without hesitation, Shi Feng learned the skill. Swordsman was a class that mainly focused on dealing damage to single targets. He didn't have many powerful area attack skills. Thunder Flash was one of the few powerful square attack skills that a swordsman possessed. If she had been studied in the early periods, it would definitely have created a huge gap with other swordsmen. After studying the flash of thunder, Shi Feng began to feel that he was acquiring the makings of a swordsman. The heartthrob and his men looked at Shi Feng with stars in their eyes. Their looks made him feel a little uncomfortable. Shi Feng turned away and went to another place. The heartthrob was offered to rob Shi Feng. The heartthrob immediately scolded them. They should respect strong players, not try to rob them. Shi Feng had acquired a strong skill, so it was time to train. In the trading area, Shi Feng met with a potion master. He spent 20 coppers to buy 20, instantly reducing his fortune to 30 copper coins. However, he still spent them to raise the levels at a reactive speed. Shi Feng took the exploding berries and left White River City, heading west into the Red Leaf Forest. At this moment, all the players were at level 0, and they were all killing level 0 monsters around White River City. There were also several players with good techniques, killing the cubs of the first level in the party. A warrior who tanks in front, a swordsman who deals damage, and a healer from behind, fighting in an organized way together. Although the experience was shared between several people, the efficiency was much higher and there were fewer competitors. However, Shi Feng did not plan to compete with these players. Passing through the first level monster area and then the third level monster area, Shi Feng headed straight for the Red Leaf Forest, the 5th level monster area. There were no players who would go there. At this stage of the game, there were still no people who dared to challenge the monsters of the 5th level. Not only was there suppression due to the difference in levels, but there was also a significant disparity in health points and attack power. A monster of the 5th level can easily defeat a player of the 1st level. Even a group of 6 people couldn't compare to a level 5 monster. Every time a player died, a heavy penalty was imposed. Not only did they lose experience in the size of an entire level, but their skill also decreased. There were no players who were willing to take such risks. Otherwise, the hours of their hard-earned experience and skill would become meaningless. The forest of red leaves consisted of beautiful maples. Level 5 monsters roamed the forest. For a player below the 3rd level, this was a restricted area. Shi Feng was also no match for these 5-level monsters. Even though he had reached the 1st level, Nevertheless, Shi Feng ran into the red leaf forest without hesitation. He moved cautiously towards the inner forest borders. Shi Feng also met with adorable cubs. The little cubs shuffled and tumbled on the grassy plains, giving themselves an even more innocent and cute look. However, they were still level 5 monsters, and the melee players simply hated them. This was because of their high level of health and protection, which made the fight with the cubs very tiring. Also, when you attack, they call the mother bear, which is too much for Shi Feng right now. When Shi Feng used the tree to walk past the bear cub, he heard a wolf howling behind him. Level 5 forest wolves patrolled the forest from time to time. Shi Feng was only level 1 right now. If the young man had not kept a sufficient distance from them, the sensitive nose of the forest wolf would have smelled him. A forest wolf of the 5th level had 400 health points. He also had a high attack power. Shi Feng will only need 2 wolf bites to exhaust 120 units of his Shi Feng health. The only option for him was to stealthily avoid the forest wolves by making a big detour around them. But now the wolf in front of him was alone. It will be very easy for Shi Feng to cope with one of these. But now he is at the watering hole. If there is a pack here, it will be very, very unpleasant. Suddenly, the ground at Shi Feng's feet collapsed and he fell in front of the cave. He was horrified to find a pack of wolves looking at him carnivorously. He happened to be in front of a pack of wolves. The forest wolf's speed was fast, but Shi Feng didn't slow down either. With all the attribute points that were completely sent to dexterity, his movement speed was equal to 6 units. After all, he was still a level 1 swordsman. Even if he was the most agile, his speed remained a notch lower than that of the forest wolves. Seeing how the wolves were catching up, Shi Feng stopped worrying, activating the saving skill of free gravity. Shi Feng suddenly felt that his body had become as light as a feather. His speed increased, making a huge leap, easily shaking off the forest wolves from his tail. After all, an ordinary monster was still ordinary. They gave up after chasing to the edge of the set area, allowing Shi Feng to save his life. After running for more than 10 minutes, Shi Feng reached the mountains and hills. Several mountains towered more than 100 meters, located in the central area of the red leaf forest. The top of the mountains was surrounded by clouds and fog, creating a scene of immortal lands. It was the central mountain. The recommended level is 6. Shi Feng knew that there was a silver chest hidden on the peak of the mountain. We should take him away. Shi Feng looked towards the towering mountain and its surroundings. Having discovered the waterfall, the guy went to it. There seemed to be a silver chest here. This treasure chest helped Shadow quickly become a famous gaming guild in White River City. This allowed Shadow to accumulate a fortune at the initial stage of the game. The silver chest had not just equipment, but also a pharmaceutical recipe and a blacksmith's drawing. In the God Realm, the drop rate of pharmaceutical prescriptions was not even 10,000 to 1. And for the blacksmith's blueprint, this figure was even lower. You can create bronze equipment using blacksmith drawings, which is extremely necessary for players. With it, making money will become a simple task. Shi Feng's plan to earn 16,000 credits within 10 days depended entirely on this blueprint, so naturally, he wouldn't leave it for the shade. However, low-level players without 40 dexterity units could not activate the hidden base ability. Without her, they could not have climbed the rocky mountain. There were also no paths that led up, leaving rock climbing the only option available. Although Shi Feng didn't have 40 dexterity units, he had a gravity ring. He could still climb the mountain after activating it. Shi Feng easily climbed up after activating gravity release. In a few moments, he was already at a height of 5 meters. When the gravity release had 5 seconds left, Shi Feng found an empty place to rest while waiting for the skill to recover. Soon after Shi Feng sat down, the stone wall suddenly shook. A stone golem appeared, growling. The golem had a 5th level and 550 health points. Shi Feng had been ready for a long time when he saw the stone giant. He took an exploding berry out of his bag and threw it at the monster's feet. As a level 5 monster, the stone giant had extremely high attack power, health points, and defense. However, he had a low attack speed and reaction time. The rotation speed of his body was even slower. The player only needed 20 dexterity points to easily play with the stone giant. There are many assassins who like to deal with such dumb monsters. They could be easily killed without losing a single unit of health. Although Shi Feng didn't have 20 dexterity points, he had exploding berries. Each of them had an effective area of 3 by 3 meters, reducing driving speed by 30% and turning speed by 70% within 1 minute. It was a divine tool used to fight dumb monsters. 2 months after the beginning of the divine domain, many players used this method to kill high-level monsters that were moving slowly. However, such slow-moving monsters in the divine domain existed in limited numbers, so it was impossible to grind them for the sake of fast level. The speed of the stone giant dropped sharply after being hit by the exploding berry. Shi Feng pulled out his sword and rushed to the back of the stone giant. 3 damage units appeared above the stone giant's head. This damage was barely worth mentioning compared to his 5,500 health points. The stone giant also recovered 1 point from his health points every 5 seconds, which was equal to 5.5 units. It was very difficult to kill him in a minute. The stone golem tried to turn around when Shi Feng attacked it. However, his body's turning speed was slow. Now that there was an additional 70% speed reduction, it was just terribly slow. Shi Feng attacked him twice more, followed by another slashing blow, resulting in a series of damage. The effect of the slashing blow was not so great due to the suppression of the level. However, since the stone giant was 4 levels higher, there was an additional bonus to the qualification. Along with this, one of the innate skills of a swordsman with a single use increased the number of skill points of a slashing blow by 3 points. It was an ideal place for professional development. After much agony, the stone giant turned to face Shi Feng. However, Shi Feng didn't give him a chance, quickly bypassing him and continuing to attack. A flash of thunder. Suddenly, one sword light dealt 4 points of damage, followed by another that dealt 5 points of damage, and the last one that dealt 7 points of damage. After all 3 thunder streaks reached their goal, Thunder Flash's qualification points increased by 3 points. Several more cuts followed. Now, when Shi Feng killed a level 5 stone giant, his skill points increased several times compared to others. In less than a minute, the stone giant finally fell. The usual giant's shirt fell off him. She gave a little protection and 10 mana points. Shi Feng put the item in the bag. Just as he was about to continue climbing, he suddenly noticed a cave nearby. When he went to check, Shi Feng's heartbeat accelerated. Shi Feng noticed a huge stone giant sleeping in a cave. His entire body was made up of silvery stones, different from the usual gray ones. It was an elite digger of the 6th level. He had as many as 900 health points. Special elites were much stronger than ordinary elites. An ordinary elite monster can destroy 6 people of the same level. However, to deal with a special elite, it took 12, or maybe all 15, players of the same level. This meant that it took 15 level 6 players working together to kill the digger. Nevertheless, Shi Feng rushed forward without hesitation. He immediately used a thunder flash, causing ray after ray of thunder to dissect the digger's huge body. Despite the fact that the damage inflicted by Shi Feng was insignificant, the digger still woke up from a deep sleep. Anyone will be furious when they are suddenly woken up. The vixen roared. The whole cave shook as she rose. With giant strides, the monster headed towards Shi Feng. Without giving the digger a chance, Shi Feng took out an exploding berry and threw it in front of the monster. Speed has always been a weakness of the stone giant. There was no exception even for the special elite. The diggers only had a larger size, a stronger attack, and more attack methods, although his movement speed and attack speed were slightly faster. Under the slowing effect from the exploding berry, she was still as slow as a turtle. On the other hand, Shi Feng's movement and attack speed were very high due to his agility. Shi Feng immediately walked around behind the digger and began his furious attack. A number of damages appeared above the giant's head. As a reincarnated human, Shi Feng had experienced countless battles in the god realm. There was no panic in him when he encountered the digger. Stepping forward, Shi Feng nimbly dodged towards the giant's back, avoiding his slow attack. Shi Feng then made a series of insane cuts. When 5 seconds had passed, the digger regained 18 health points, leaving him with a balance of 886 health points. In an instant, half of Shi Feng's efforts were wasted. Compared to normal monsters, elite monsters or higher will regenerate 2% of their health points every 5 seconds during combat. The digger had 900 health points, meaning he would recover 18 health points every 5 seconds. This regeneration exceeded the damage that Shi Feng could deal with normal attacks. Shi Feng decided to take full advantage of the thunder flash. Despite this, Shi Feng was still calmly swinging his sword, constantly lowering the giant's health points. The average player would have already given up after seeing such a high life and regeneration. However, Shi Feng did not. 16 dexterity points allowed Shi Feng to dodge and attack easily. His high attack speed also made it possible for the damage he inflicted to completely cover the digger's recovery. However, killing the monster required a lot of time. It was very boring, just dodging and attacking madly. Striking hard was very tiring, both physically and mentally. With each passing second, the giant's health was continuously falling. Shi Feng was delighted, his attacks worked. Suddenly, the entire cave shook. The giant used a special attack. The digger jumped up and hit the ground with all his might. From this, a lot of stones began to fall. If it wasn't for his agile body and rather spacious territory, Shi Feng would have had a hard time avoiding these falling rocks. After finishing his skill, the digger showed an exhausted expression. It was a phase of fatigue. Some enemies entered this state after using a special skill. The attack, defense, and regeneration of monsters decreased noticeably. Shi Feng's eyes shone, and he quickly rushed forward. With this state of fatigue, Shi Feng could see the hope of killing the digger. Shi Feng took the chance to attack even more fiercely. Each sword strike took away 4 health units, while the giant was under both states of fatigue and damage enhancement. During this weakened period, the digger's regeneration also decreased to 1%. Suddenly the digger roared and disappeared from sight. The giant appeared from behind Shi Feng and hit him with his huge fist. Shi Feng was able to defend himself with a sword at the last moment. From the powerful blow, Shi Feng was thrown to the side of the wall where he had left the funnel. Shi Feng coughed up blood. Although he didn't receive a direct hit, he almost died instantly. He only has 2 health points left. A cold glint flashed in Shi Feng's eyes as he activated the gravity ring. Suddenly, the evasion became easy and relaxed. It was impossible to easily abandon a special elite that only had 15% of health left. Shi Feng continued to circle and madly chop down the vixen with his sword. Each hit dealt 3 units of damage, gradually reducing the monster's health. Shi Feng threw his sword like a spear and pierced through the giant's body. The last 10 health points of the giant were taken away. The digger turned into a pile of rubble. After killing the giant, Shi Feng examined the pile of debris. The drop from the special elite was much better than from the ordinary elite. Shi Feng received equipment, a skill book, and 16 coppers. Shi Feng looked at the cross-shaped shield in his hands. He could already imagine how the various guilds would want to pay a high price for him. The shield could be considered high quality with such attributes. When it is equipped, the shield will greatly increase the protection. Health will also be increased by 110 units. This is equivalent to 1/3 of the health points of a 5th level warrior class. Using it to traverse level 5 dungeons was more than enough. It can even be used to clear dungeons of the 8th level. The skill book was also good. It was a skill that could be used by all melee classes. This required a melee weapon. He could block one attack that came from the front, and he had a cooldown of 30 seconds. Parrying was a popular skill among all melee classes. It was a required skill for the warrior classes. The skill had a low drop rate, and it was almost never sold on the market as it was a life-saving skill. You can activate it at a critical moment, and it can even help you overcome a crisis. This is especially true when fighting a boss. If the healers can't keep up, then you can use parry to block the attack, giving the healers more time to heal you. After looking at the skill, Shi Feng decided to study it. Although he could get a better price if he sold the skill book along with the shield, this action was no different from killing a chicken to get an egg. Shi Feng wouldn't do that. After killing the digger, he continued to climb up. The bronze shield cost a meager amount of money. The real luck was the mithril treasure chest. Shi Feng only had 4 exploding berries left. However, he did not walk even a third of the distance to the top. It was also very easy to meet the monster in the rest areas. This made Shi Feng choose his path more carefully. After carefully moving up, Shi Feng finally arrived at the top of the mountain. Because of the white clouds and fog, visibility there was very poor. Shi Feng could only see within 20 meters in front of him. On the way up, Shi Feng used all the remaining 4 exploding berries on the stone giants. If another monster appeared, Shi Feng could only give up and start over. As soon as Shi Feng took a few steps forward, a few blurry shadows could be seen ahead. At that moment, an emergency notification came from the system. It reported that Shi Feng was the first to discover the Forgotten Lands, thereby activating a hidden task called Past Glory. He will be temporarily separated from the outside world. It will be possible to leave this place immediately after the task is completed. Shi Feng was surprised to see the hidden rear. In the past world, he had only heard about the mithril chest, but there was no question of any hidden quest. Apart from the name, there was no other information about the quest. Shi Feng didn't even know what he was supposed to do. He saw something similar on the forums. After a moment, he remembered that there were special tasks in the God Realm that could only be activated in certain location. Moreover, these quests did not provide any information. The players had to look for it themselves. After the quest has been completed, it will not start again, even if another player comes to the same place. This can be called a special kind of unique quest. At the same time, it was a quest filled with extreme danger. Although Shi Feng had seen the players trumpeting about it all over the forum, but who would have thought that he would stumble upon it completely by accident? Finding a method to complete a quest in an unknown region also meant fighting the unknown monsters of that region. For such special quests, the monsters of the region were usually several levels higher compared to the surrounding areas. An ordinary player had no chance to complete the task, but there was no point in worrying. Since he can't get out, he just has to look around. In the worst case, he will simply die and be reborn in the city. After thinking it over, Shi Feng began to advance with big steps. The hours flew by unnoticed. After searching dozens of streets and hundreds of houses, Shi Feng still hadn't found a single clue for his quest. The Sphere of God has just started. It was the best time to widen the gap with others, but Shi Feng wasted hours exploring this place. There were many players who had already reached the first level, but Shi Feng was still suspended at 34% of the second level. Shi Feng was doubtful. Should he keep looking for the keys to the quest? Or should he just finish himself off here and be reborn in the city? Shi Feng set a time frame for himself. Although such quests were very valuable, he didn't have that much time to waste. He still had a ton of other quests he could complete. There was no need to waste time in this place. Time slowly passed, disappearing bit by bit. Shi Feng arrived at the central tower of the city. This place was once a sacred land for magicians. It was the best place to study magic. Now it was irreparably destroyed. Even the magic crystal at the top of the tower broke. Shi Feng climbed to the top. He was standing in the observatory tower, admiring the city scenery. Shi Feng would slowly enjoy the view if he wasn't in a hurry. After looking around, he did not find any special locations. Just as Shi Feng was about to leave, a voice greeted him in the heavenly city. Suddenly, a gray-bearded old man appeared. The old man's voice was full of experience from the vicissitudes experienced and wisdom comprehended in this regard. The unexpected appearance of the old man shocked Shi Feng. Heavenly City. Shi Feng was shocked when he thought of this famous God Realm city. Heavenly City. The name of this city once shocked the entire continent of the God Realm. There were countless legendary classes in this city. There was even a famous hidden class demigod, the Holy Swordsman, Black Jade. It was a city that even the gods themselves feared. Unfortunately, during the Third Divine War, the city fell. Shi Feng wondered where this city came from here. The elder asked if Shi Feng was ready to pass his test. Shi Feng agreed without hesitation. The elder said that he would give him 3 ways to choose. But before the old man could explain everything, Shi Feng interrupted him. He said that he chooses the most difficult test. Shi Feng chose Hellish Complexity. Shi Feng was confident that he could handle this difficulty. If he could complete the quest, then it would have a big impact on his future development. He already knew more than anyone, so Shi Feng decided to take a chance. The old man burst out laughing. He liked such young people full of energy. He only hoped that Shi Feng would not regret his choice. The elder disappeared after his hearty laugh, leaving the rear ones. Shi Feng was required to fight against 1,000 monsters of the same level. Passing conditions: killing 500 monsters. The deadline is 4 hours. In case of failure, all attributes will be reduced by 10 units. Attributes are the essence of the class. If Shi Feng's attributes are reduced by 10 points, then he will practically become a cripple. The countdown has begun. There were 5 seconds left before the monsters attacked. They were second-level ghost warriors. They had 230 health units. Fighting one of them will be easy. However, against an entire ocean, even Shi Feng would start to panic. Rushing into the crowd was simply suicide. Shi Feng would quickly be surrounded and killed. The only way out was to fight the monsters one-on-one. Shi Feng had a wealth of experience in battles. He quickly ran down the tower and stopped at the stairs. The stairs only allowed 2 monsters to pass at the same time, so this was the best place to attack. As long as Shi Feng guards the stairs, he will be able to complete this quest. As soon as the 5 seconds were up, every ghost warrior rushed into the tower with wild energy. However, the stairs were too narrow. As a result, they blocked each other. Shi Feng only had to face 2 ghost warriors at the same time. As for the warriors' attacks, Shi Feng could dodge them relatively easily. A flash of thunder, slashing blow, 3 streaks of light flashed, instantly dealing 60 high damage to all ghost warriors within 20 meters. The slashing blow that followed dealt 33 units of damage. In an instant, the first ghost warrior only had half of his health points left, while dozens of others behind lost a quarter of their lives. Shi Feng destroyed monsters without stopping. 40 murders, 90 murders, 150, and so on. Soon he reached 400. After all, killing 500 monsters is not that difficult if you keep them on the stairs. After killing the 400th ghost warrior, ghost killers appeared. They had less health points, but they had daggers and could climb walls and jump. They suddenly appeared behind Shi Feng. Shi Feng immediately kicked the assassins, knocking them aside. When he was finishing off the ghost warrior, the ghost killer crept up from behind and slashed Shi Feng on the back with a dagger. The guy immediately killed him. The assassins began to annoy him. He cursed and sighed. The last 100 monsters will be very agile and problematic. It's good that they are quite fragile, unlike warriors. Shi Feng was killing monsters non-stop. His blade took 1 life in 1 blow. Soon all the monsters fell. Shi Feng was breathing heavily. His sword was already getting jagged from killing so many monsters. But in the end, he was able to complete the task. Other players would most likely fail, but Shi Feng could complete it perfectly. The elder appeared again with a laugh, looking at Shi Feng. The elder took out a treasure chest made of gold. After completing the quest, he was given a title. The title is 1,000 to 1. The stats of all allies within a 30-meter radius will be increased by 10%. During the duration of the title, players will receive an additional 5 points of strength and endurance. The old man waved his hand, ending the quest. He disappeared, as did Shi Feng. Shi Feng's vision blurred. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself in the square of the city of red leaves. He fell into the square. Old Mash opened a portal right in the air. With his sudden fall, he scared some players. He immediately got up and ran to another place. It was impossible to let his precious golden chest, for which he had spent so much effort, be stolen. Seeing that no one paid attention to his sudden appearance, he quickly entered an empty alley. Opening a treasure chest made of pure gold will definitely cause a stir. Opening and displaying such a treasure chest in a crowded square was too bold an act. This could only be done by noobs. Compared to the real world, there are no restrictions in the game world. Even a silver secret chest may contain useful items, such as a potion recipe or a blueprint for forging. Shi Feng wondered what would be inside the golden chest. Shi Feng had been playing God's Realm for 10 years, and the number of pure gold treasure chests he had seen did not exceed 20. Wars were fought for each such treasure chest. Shi Feng didn't even dare to dream of owning one of them. The guy slowly opened it. Suddenly, golden rays of light leaked out of the chest, illuminating a small alley. It would definitely be a dazzling beacon of light if it was night time. It would attract everyone's attention. He held the dropped object in his hands with amazement. It was a magic sword. Shi Feng was very familiar with magic weapons. Magic weapons were different from ordinary equipment. It didn't have any ranking to distinguish it, and it was even rarer than legendary equipment. His strength was undeniable. However, the magic weapon was a double-edged sword. This was because the weapon had a side effect called a backlash. If a player using a magic weapon wasn't careful, one mistake could harm his account. In his previous life, there were several experts in the Star Moon Kingdom who, thanks to magic weapons, became top-level experts. Even during his peak, Shi Feng could only look at them from afar. However, after some time, 2 of these experts crippled their accounts because they didn't handle the backlash properly. Their only choice was to create a new account. Shi Feng decided not to tie the sword to himself yet. Stability was a priority. He had to earn 16,000 credits in 10 days. The pressure on him was enormous. If any mistakes happen, then all his previous efforts will be wasted.